this is Lori from Shoo Shoo Paper Art, and I'm going to share today how I made this cute little truck treat box. There's a lot of this going on out there right now, but if you want to use dies, wow, they're expensive, around 50 bucks. So I kind of thought, well, maybe I could figure out how to do it for a lot less than that. So the first thing I set out to do was looking for a suitable truck, and there are a lot of cute ones on Etsy. I finally decided on this one by Octopus Artists, and they've also got a lot of different colors, red and cream, and a lot of different colors that you could choose from. So that might be a good choice for you if you want to do this too. I'll have that link at the bottom. Another option would be if you already have stamps that have a pretty good sized truck. There are ways to do an opposite view of stamps. If some of those ways work for you, go ahead and do that. Or you could stamp it and scan it in and flip it horizontal to print it. That's another option if you have a stamp that you like. This truck I printed at about 2 1/4 by 4 5/8. The truck bed is 1 1/4 inches wide, and you can see here it'll hold, you know, a decent number of pumpkins, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. So that makes a really cute little treat, I think. The first thing I did was print my trucks, and I printed 4 of them, 2 going one direction, 2 going the other. And I just used my flip horizontal button on my software to be able to do that. The reason I printed 4 is because I decided that I would go ahead and do them front to back. And I just cut them out and glued them together front to back. That's not necessarily necessary because, as you can see, you don't see a lot of that back portion. So you could just use your cardstock to put a backing on one truck without, you know, printing another. So that would be another option. But seriously, you know, most of it doesn't show. So I think that would be perfectly fine. The next thing you'll need to do after you've printed your trucks and decided how you're going to do that is to make the bed of the truck. And it's really easy. Let me just say one thing about the paper that I used for my truck. This is 120-pound cardstock. It is nice and sturdy, and I like that because it's going to be sitting on these tires, and you want those tires to be pretty sturdy. So that's a nice reason to have 2 layers of 120-pound cardstock there for your truck so that it'll stand nice even when you have the pumpkin treats inside. What I did for this part of my truck, as you can see it matches the truck itself, is I just used this portion of the truck and enlarged it until it was pretty good size, covered about half of a page, and that gave me plenty of this color to work with to create the truck bed and this top portion. So I think I could have found a cardstock that worked just fine, but I like the idea of it matching, so I went ahead and did the extra step. Okay, so the truck bed. You're going to need to measure your truck to see how long and tall you want your truck bed to be. So for mine, I just measured, mine's about 2 inches, so I made it a little bit shorter because my tires don't go all the way back. So I decided to make it 1 3/4, and then it is 1 1/8 tall, which is just short of the 1 1/4 tall of the truck itself. Okay, so to figure out how to make my box, I decided that I would just trace it out, which is easier for me to do. So I know that it's going to be 1 3/4, and this portion tall is going to be 1 1/8. Oh, no, sorry, let me start over. 1 3/4, but it's 1 1/4 wide. So the bottom of my truck bed is 1 3/4 by 1 1/4. I only want it to be 1 1/8 inch tall. So the sides of my box are going to be 1 1/8. 1 1/8. One and 1/8. All right, so then I need to figure out how big I need my piece of paper to be so that I can create this box. So I need to add them all up across and add them all up vertically, and I come up with 3 1/2 by 4 1/8 to make the bed of my truck. So I've got a piece of paper here cut 3 1/2 by 4 1/8. You'll see that it's two-sided. Then I will score the sides, and it's going to be 1 1/8 inches tall, so that's going to be my score. And I'm going to score all 4 sides that 1 1/8. Once I have all 4 sides scored, I am ready to create the tabs. To do that, I'm going to use the corners. And I'm going to cut the corners about in half. I'm just going to cut off a portion of them and make them a little bit smaller. So I'm going to do that on all 4 sides. Once I have those cut in half, I'm going to go ahead and slit these so that I can make the tabs. I'm also going to angle the corners. Now I'm ready to make the box. I'm going to fold on all the score lines. Put glue on the tabs. Now I'm ready to put the truck bed into my truck. So I'm going to line it up with the top of the truck and the back here, just like you would a regular truck bed. Also making sure that the tires touch. Oops. And that's all there is to the truck bed. And now we're ready to do the top portion of the truck. I'll need to cut a strip of paper that's the width needed and the length. I know that this is 1 1/4 inches wide and I want 1/2 inch tabs, so I cut my strip of paper 2 1/4 inches wide. I also cut it way longer than what I thought I would need. That way I won't run out. And if you're making multiples of these trucks, once you figure out where your scores are, you can write them down and you can score without figuring out, what those scores have to be on your next trucks. So let's start by scoring the tabs. And I want my tabs to be 1/2 inch. So I'm going to score the length 1/2 inch on each side. All right, I'm going to keep my scoreboard handy because I'm going to need it as I go along. So I'm going to go ahead and fold these back on both sides. And I'm going to need a pencil and an eraser. I'm going to start with the back portion of this. I'm going to line up my paper, my strip, with the bottom of the truck bed there inside. And then go ahead and hold it in place. Whoops. Let's see if I can do that again. Okay, there. And I'm going to mark where I need to make a score. And that score needs to be made right where the top of the truck meets the strip. So right about there. Oops, is my pencil working? Oop, that is not a good pencil. Okay, right there. Then I'm going to take my strip, and where I made my mark, I'm going to go ahead and score that particular mark. And I don't need, have my eraser in case I make my mark higher up, but that's perfectly fine. It's hidden in the tab, so I'm just going to leave it there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and fold that score down. And I'm also going to slit the tabs. All right, so now I have the portion that makes up the back of the truck. So I'm going to slide it in place so I can figure out where the next score needs to be. I'm just going to fold it in there. Okay, my next score needs to be right where the truck top is sliding down into the window. So I'm going to make a mark right there. Have the back and the top of my truck. I'm going to go ahead and fold that in place just like that. Set that in, back in place. Okay. Actually, I need to fold on this score first. Make that a little bit easier. Put that back together. Okay, now my next score needs to be right here where the windshield is meeting the top of the truck. So I'm going to turn that down a little bit. Okay, and this is the hardest part, but once you get this done, it's not bad at all. Okay, so I've got it folded down into the truck. And now I'm ready to take my pencil and make a mark. So I have the back, the top, and the windshield. Okay, go ahead and this one is going to come out, so I'm going to fold that forward instead of back. And now I'm ready to make the next score. Okay, so there's the top of the truck, there's the window of the truck. And now I'm ready to make the hood of the truck. So if I kind of put that in place where that's going to be. Oops, okay. So now I need a mark right there at the top of the hood. Now the last thing that needs to be done is just to cut off the bottom where it's going to fall on the truck. I don't have another score to make, but I'm just going to slip it in there, kind of holding it in place. Oops. Okay, and then turning this last portion down and I'm kind of angling it out a little bit, and I'm going to cut it off about right there. I'm going to go ahead and take these tabs for the top of the truck, and I'm going to glue them down. I found that that was a little bit easier to go ahead and do that. Now I'm going to put glue on the bed of the truck. Let's slip that in there, turn it over and line up the bottom. Okay, before I go too much further, I'm going to go ahead and put glue on the tabs for the top of the truck. And while I'm holding it in place, go ahead and put the sides together. Hold that. That is the basic structure of the truck. And see, it's really not that hard. Once you figure out how to do it, it's super easy to make the next ones. All right, so let's take a look at the finished truck, give some ideas for finishing it out. I stamped some pumpkins to put in the back, and I used some craft cardstock. This was 100-pound cardstock, and I went ahead and doubled it. So each little rail is a double thickness of cardstock. These are a little less than 1/4 of an inch, and my truck bed was about 2 inches long, and that is about how long these rails are. I made 2 vertical ones and 2 horizontal ones, and just glued the pumpkins to the whichever side I wanted to be the front. Now let's take a look here for the windows. You can see a window in the back and a window in the front. I had some silver matte paper from Staples. You could use silver glimmer paper. You could use silver glitter paper. Any of that would work. Just make your window a little bit smaller than the blue paper, and make your white a little bit smaller than the silver. I also put some headlights on. I had some tiny circle dies that I used. You could use punches. You can hand cut them out. There's several things that you could do there. And just a little strip of silver for a little tiny bumper. And I did the same thing on the back. And I didn't put any lights back there, but you certainly could. You could do some kind of little sign on here about, you know, farmers market or pumpkins for sale or something like that. You can make your treats. They could be pumpkins, they could be whatever you want them to be. You can make a little tag for your treat, and just whatever, however much you want to do. I kind of stacked these pumpkins up vertically instead of, you know, making them wide that way to make sure that I could get them in there. And that is it. Seriously, not hard at all. And I saved, a lot, because the printable is not that much. And I didn't have to spend $48 on the dies. And I actually think this is a really adorable truck. So thank you for watching, and you can always find me at shoo-shoo paper art.com.